Nitroglycerin Sunday Cup arrives in Australia for the fourth and penultimate round. Sit on the side of a hill with an elevation differential of 571 feet, the Mount Panorama circuit is a serious challenge. Keeping to the right throughout the home straight, we begin with a hard lift through the worryingly named hill corner and into the long climbing mountain straight. Shifting very slowly over to the lift in preparation for the next corner as the road begins to undulate, this is the first wheel overtaking spot, drivers making use of slipstream to make their move. Keep an eye on the meter boards to the left, brake at 100 down through the gears and turn into Griffins. You don't want to take too much curb here and certainly not on the exit, but you will want to make full use of the track width. Then we come to the blind double left known as the cutting. Moving in from the right and coasting down this first left and then on the brakes. The surface is uneven at the second left and it pays to hug the wall as closely as you dare. Continuing uphill, Reed Park a fast double apex right and then a left completely flat out and close to the barriers. Now a fast series of left-handers, ups and downs. The lift on the crest is a little tighter and a quick lift off is generally advisable. Another dip and then rise into turn 10, either more lift off or a quick dab on the brakes to make it through here without touching the gravel trap. And it's all downhill from here, a touch on the brakes ahead of a fast, treacherous right-left that begins the S's. Another right and then hard on the brakes into the dipper, a 1 in 6 drop and a very dangerous corner indeed. Out of that it's a sprint through the next series of turns into a tight right-hander downhill into the sharp lift of Forest's Elbow. The racing line takes the car very close to the barrier and on the exit as well. 1 inch separates the best line from a ruined lap. Accelerating now into the longest straight on the circuit, then 1.9 kilometre Conrod Straight. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Hoffman's It's Good to Have an Excuse.
And on and on and on and on until a curve takes us right into the chase. Downhill and then up at the braking zone, braking at about 150 metres to the left-hander and then immediately afterwards right again into the final straight of the circuit. It's one last downhill plunge. Pit lane entry over to the left. There's just one corner remaining, Murray's Corner. Brake just after 100 metre board. Careful with the line through here as the curb is steep and can kill your speed. Back into the main straight and we've completed a lap of the Mount Panorama circuit. Let's look at the qualifying highlights, starting with KRD leading a train of drivers to start their first flying laps. Now KRD has done pretty well in the championship so far, running 5th. And leading the championship, of course, is Riots, who's also managed to set pole in every race so far out of the 3 that we've had. Now there's Blue Ghost of Mazda team with his Swedish teammate also present. Now there's Fives. He'll be looking to take pole at least once in this championship. And IRS Powell, who is a reserve driver driving for the Mercedes team Paladin in this particular race. Also a reserve driver we have Lamborghini, who did an excellent job in the previous race at the Nürburgring, but now he's driving for the Honda team. Now then, yes, here he is, here's Lamborghini, right there. So, now, beginning, this is a little bit later on, ending his flying lap is KRD. What kind of time is he going to set? It's going to be 2:14.848, immediately beaten by Riots with 2:13.326. It looks a little bit like history repeating itself. I have to see if Fives can do any better, maybe somebody else. Yes, indeed, Lamborghini takes pole by 0.183 seconds. Fantastic job. It's a very small margin though. I dare say there will be a faster time than that, and Riots will be very keen. Here he is, about to overtake KRD. KRD, I think, coming in for fresh tyres. Very keen to reclaim pole with about that's 6 minutes 30 elapsed. No, sorry, 6 minutes 50 elapsed. So here's Blue Ghost, and his teammate is just setting a lap time now. Only 0.015 seconds difference between those two teammates. They've got a bit of a Scandinavian friendly rivalry thing going on, I hear. And that's Fives. He's gone spinning off. I don't know quite what happened there, but he's kind of in the way, so he's going to have to skedaddle out of the way to let others pass. That was one of the Mitsubishis. You can recognise that little pink colouring. And in the meanwhile, a faster lap time has been set by Lamborghini, who's now about over 0.9 seconds ahead of Rice. So Rice is going to have to really pull something out of the bag in order to get pole back with less than 5 minutes to go now. This was a little bit later on. Fives again going sliding off, and that is, I think, IRS Powell. Yeah, IRS Powell in the 46 car beside him. Now here's Wyatt's, and maybe his last flying lap. I couldn't really tell by watching, but towards the end he started slowing down, and it became quite clear that he'd given up. Maybe it wasn't a very fast lap, and certainly there wasn't quite enough time to set another one. So here he is slowing down and going into the escape road. And that takes us to the end of qualifying. Thank you, Bruce. I'll take it from here. Round 4 of the NSC Mount Panorama. Let's have a look at the grid. In pole position, Lamborghini, reserve driver, previously driving for the Dodge team, now for Honda. And then second, Riots. Third is KRD, finishing ahead of his teammate for qualifying. 5 signs in 4th. Also on the same row of the grid as each other, 5th and 6th, Blue Ghost and Olaf of the Mazda ASO team. In 7th, Ladinator making a return for the 4th round, and Chugi Jr., the LOEG Toyota driver. Dunker, reserve driver again in the Lancer, but in number 92 this time, and IRS POW in the Mercedes. Then Delinquent for the Jaguar team with Kaladin alongside him in 12th position. Double Apex and Jers did not qualify for this race. Now then, here we are for the race. Mount Panorama, round 4, the NSC. On the formation lap, it's Lamborghini in pole, remember, and he's the one with the yellow headlights at the front. That's one way of telling which one he is in this almost pitch black environment. Now they're going through the chase at the moment. A bit of dust being kicked up there already, and that's going to limit visibility severely. Now there's the base car. It's going into the pit lane now, and they have to maintain their relative positions until the signal for start is given. Now let's see how they do. Now the signal for start is now. There we go. Immediately they start trying to make moves on each other. It's Riots who makes a bold move, but into turn 1 doesn't manage to get it, and that's probably hurt his exit speed, and you can see that there's quite a distance that's opened up between the front two already. KRD perhaps trying to make a move, take advantage of the situation. Here further back, it's Blue Ghost trying to move in on Ladinator, and indeed, yes, here are the dodges, and KRD he's got past Riots into this the second corner of the race, and there's Fives lagging a little bit behind, but still definitely there in the top 4 as they pull away from the rest of the field. Now as they wind up the hill, now that's Chugi Jr., and he's going off, he's going wildly side to side, crashed into IRS Powell. Oh dear, not a very good start for him. You can see the panels on the side of his car there, utterly beaten to hell. Now there's Fives, and it's Ladinator in front. The yellow headlights, of course, you can tell which one he is there. Going down through the Dipper and the remainder of the S's into Forest Elbow. Now it's Lamborghini takes a very short line, and KRD a wide line through Forest Elbow. Let's see, it seems to have paid off for KRD with a higher exit speed. Perhaps you can see how closely they are together. Now KRD now overtaken Ladinator. He's got out in front. Spectacular move there, making proper use of exit speed and slipstream to get the advantage. Here they are, very, very, very close here in the top 4. Through the chase again, and it's a little bit of dust kicked up there. Now here's Wyatt's. I think he's trying to make a pass. He is trying to make a pass on Lamborghini as well. Doesn't make it. It's not a very good corner for overtaking. Goes off, picks a little bit of dust up there on his tyres, and that's Dunker. Dunker in the purple car going off, having a little bit of an affair, it seems, with the barrier. Lost the position to Blue Ghost, who moves into 7th. Now here's Wyatt's, and he's in the top 3, very clearly marked there, fairly evenly spaced, with 5s falling behind. Now I wonder if that's due to simply a slower pace overall, or if there's something going on with strategy there. Now KRD, Lamborghini, Wyatt's 5 signs, and it's Lamborghini. He's taken back position from KRD. Another stunning bit of driving there, and a bit of a bump there from KRD hitting the barrier. Now it's certainly very difficult to the cutting there. It's very difficult to avoid touching the barrier. Now it's another overtaking move from Wyatt. He moves to the inside, has a look, comes back again. At the back here we can see the 2 Mercedes drivers with IRS Powell having a look to overtake his teammate. Now back to the front again. It's it looks like KRD is picking up dirt and trying to do anything he can to try and find out how to overtake Lamborghini, but it's certainly a very daring thing to try here at the S's. We're on board with Wyatt now, and KRD picked up a little bit of a scrape on the barrier there. Some sparks were flying, and KRD goes to overtake Lamborghini and is successful. Again, it seems like a real back and forth between those two, with each using slipstream to their own advantage. All very close there, and Wyatt is fending off 5s, and there they managed to go through. Now, bit of a muck up there from KRD, and he goes crashing. He goes spinning wildly and manages to. I'm not sure who he hasn't taken out there. And we're riding on board with Ladinator in the purple number 23 Lancer, who's managed to climb up into 3rd thanks to that blunder, which has really disadvantaged KRD and also Wyatt's as well. Now 5s is in the lead and managed to get out of that without getting into any trouble. Lamborghini now in 2nd, Ladinator in 3rd. That's been a real mix-up for the results. For the driver order at the moment. Here on the 4th lap, it's quite evenly spread now between the top 5 drivers. Now here's Lamborghini. He's having a look at overtaking 5s. They go side by side into the cutting. Not a very good idea. Lamborghini picks up. Oh dear. It's Ladinator's crashed into his fellow Canadian Lamborghini, causing both drivers to slow down. You could see there that was KRD very slyly slipping through the very narrow gap. Very dangerous and risky move indeed. Now Ladinator is following closely Olof Alberg. Now let's see. Doesn't manage to overtake him though. Now there's 5s in the lead now. Wyatt's 2nd and KRD 3rd after that terrible little accident between Lamborghini and others. Now then, there's KRD's having a bit of a slide there through down the dipper, and round Forest's elbow, and more sparks there from both he and Lamborghini. Now then, further back, here's IRS Power and Kaladin. And Dunker, Delinquent, who's just ahead of him. Dunker, Delinquent and IRS Powell all taking it through the S's here to see who can be the king of the midfield, I suppose. Now, IRS Powell is closely... No, that's hazard lights on Delinquent are on. I wonder why that is. It's possibly because we saw him sliding about earlier and thought, you know, better put on some kind of warning light precaution. Now, here are the front runners. Fives starts the 5th lap, I think, and Riots and KRD race closely behind. Now then, yes, here we go. It's the start of the 5th lap. KRD picks up a little bit of dust there, and he's quite some distance behind Riots, who's just about to overtake Fives. Is he or isn't he? It's interesting to see how they come into turn 2. Really touching each other there, and I think Fives was just very subtly muscling Riots to the edge there, not off the circuit. Seems all just about above board. Takes the advantage. Fives and Riots goes for the inside of the cutting. Neither of them touch each other, but it's very close. Fives manages to come out in front of that one. It seems that he didn't have a very promising first few laps of the race, but thanks to a bit of a blunder from his teammate, he's come out on top at the moment. They're coming very close into the beginning of the S's. Barely room for anything at all in between them. I would say they're less than a yard apart at certain points, at certain corners. Now we're riding on board with Riots. We can see, oh, it's a mistake. It's a mistake from Fives, and Riots immediately goes to the advantage. They make contact there, and into Forest Hill, though, it's Riots who takes the lead, and closely following are Fives and his teammate KRD. Lamborghini behind, making up the last now in the group of 4. It seems like quite a mix-up from what we saw at the beginning of the race. Now it's another overtake. It's Fives who's taking back position from Riots. It seems that Riots' Toyota has the advantage in the bendy parts of the circuit, but for straight line speed, it's the Dodge. So, KRD has also lost position to Lamborghini. Fives, they're kicking up dust as he slightly miscalculates that turn in the chase there. Now, oh, it's a couple of cars. The first pit stops will be Riots and KRD. Charging into the pit lane there, and they've been running on soft tyres, hitting on lap 5. There's IRS Power. He's gone off, and Delinquent's gone off as well. Must have lost concentration and just slammed into each other, and that caused who to crash into them. I think that caused Chugi to crash into them. It was a little bit difficult to tell. Now, here are the front runners. Fives very closely followed by Lamborghini, and those two pitting, Riots and KRD. They come out of the pits now. Now let's see, they come out into 6th and 7th position respectively, and it's just a matter really for them of whether traffic will hold them up on their way back to the front. Now then, winding up the hill, we've got Lamborghini closely chasing Fives. And now let's see. Fives had been making some mistakes through this section. Is he going to be learning from that and keeping his cool? We'll have to see. It's certainly the Honda which has the advantage through these narrow twisting corners, and the pressure will be on for Fives through here. Now, further back, here's Dunker. Now he's very close on the tail of Delinquent, who you'll recall went off the circuit earlier with IRS Pow. And now let's see. He's I don't think he's quite got enough of he's not quite close enough to overtake just yet, but we'll have to see how it turns out for him out of the S's. Now here on board with Delinquent, going over the curb, and he's spun and completely lost control. It's yellow flags and green flags now as he manages to. He's got back control of the car, but he's been overtaken by Dunker there. Now at the front again, it's Lamborghini. He goes into the pit lane, and so does Fives. Interestingly enough, it seemed that Fives was a little bit on the fence about coming in this early. Olaf going in as well as Leidenator. Now, so the top four had been running on soft tyres. for the first stint of this race, but it seems that Fives and Lamborghini had managed to get an extra lap out of them. Now then, let's see. Here's Riot's doing a bit of a slide there through the final corner as he comes into the 7th lap. Now, it'll be interesting to see, of course, where they all stack up as Lamborghini and as Five Signs leave the pit lane. So Fives emerges at the front of the pack, but there's not a whole lot in it, to be honest. A couple of seconds at most. Riot's there in 2nd, KRD in 3rd, and it's Lamborghini who is emerging from the pit lane in 4th position. Now, this is another off. This is Kaladin, I believe, who's gone off a little bit on the chase there. It seems to be a bit of a common place for the Mercedes cars to go off. I wonder if that's a coincidence or not. Now, here's Delinquent in the pits, being overtaken by Kaladin. So, let's see. This is Riot's, and he's lost a little bit of distance on Fives. The gap between them has widened, and indeed it seems that the gap with the top 4 has widened quite a bit in general. Riot's there setting best sector time. He's so far his lap times have been a little bit higgledy-piggledy, sort of between 2:15 and 2:20ish. But we'll have to see how he comes. Now, he's managed to catch up a little bit through the S's. As I mentioned, his car does have the advantage there, so he'll be able to wheel in Fives through this long straight here as the slipstream enables him to catch up. Again, sets a very good sector time there. He's well on course to set the fastest lap of the race so far. So here he comes. He's coming into the chase so close behind him that I think there may have been a bit of a touch there. So he's going in. Is he going for an overtake? It seems like it. It seems that Fives is defending the inside line there. Oh! It's a contact. It's contact between them as Riot's kind of tries to outbrake. I think he misunderstood Fives' racing line through there. Wasn't them to touch. Fives with the advantage, pulling ahead. I think Riot's will be kicking himself a little bit there for that kind of very audacious move. Maybe should have saved it for the end of this following straight here in lap 8. Now then, it's Fives who sets best sector 1 time, and going up through into the beginning of the climb up the mountain. Now, there they go, and Lamborghini chasing quite close behind. It's through the cutting and up they come. Oh, a little bit of a wobble there from Fives. That'll be pounced upon by Riot's, who's now very, very close behind him indeed, as you can see there. It's up the hill they go, and riding on board with Riot's again. You can see the occasional wobble there from Fives. Seems that the Dodge may be slightly unbalanced, especially on sort of hilly terrain. It's now it's Riot's who's setting yet a faster time than he previously had, and here they go. Riot's had managed to set 2:16.929 it seems, and he's going to go a little bit faster than that. Now let's see. It seems Riot's just touched the outside wall there, which will have cost him a bit. It may make the difference between being able to overtake Fives and not. He is now. He's just managing to keep pace with Fives. It doesn't look like he's gaining that much distance on him. It won't be enough to overtake. Now they go rushing through. He's having a look anyway. Oh, he has managed to pass. He is passing, but is on the switchback. Is Fives going to take the advantage back? It looks like that's the case. He's got the faster exit speed out of the chase, and we can see on board with him there that he's managed to take control of the racing line. Goes through a little bit further back. It looks like Leydinator overtaking Olaf. Stunning bit of driving there. Certainly pulled that off well. Now then, here are the top 3. Lamborghini's managed to catch up with the other two. It's a very, very close chase indeed, and Riot's, having failed to overtake, of course, will have cost both Fives and himself a little bit of time compared with those further back. He's having another try, has another look for certain, but doesn't manage to quite pull it off, but he's trying again now. And is he going to do it? He's using the outside line, which means he may have a little bit more speed. Goes crashing off to the outside wall. I think there was a touch there. I think that can be passed off as a racing incident though. Fives loses on the switchback, and it's Riots who takes first position, and Lamborghini tries to overtake as well, but Fives will have none of that. They go up the hill, so it's Riots first, Fives second, Lamborghini third, and KRD bringing up the top four. A bit of dust being kicked up there, I think, by Fives, I'm not too sure. And they go plummeting downhill now. Oops! Oh, a little bit of sliding down the dip, and down here we have KRD, who's I think there was a little bit of a bomb barrier. Certainly Fives and Lamborghini were both sparking against the outside wall there. That will have cost them, and it seems that you can see that Riots is pulling away from them both. Lamborghini using the slipstream. Is he going to be able to try and mount an overtaking move on Fives? Probably not. It seems the gap's widened up a bit there. I think he's pulled back a little bit just in case. There's no point in throwing away the whole race for that. Now then, it's another pit stop. Is that Fives into the pits? Yes, it is. It is indeed. Now, he already had a pit stop not long ago, so it's interesting to see him take another one. Now, this is IRS Power. He's overtaken Blue Ghost, a reversal of the move that we saw earlier when IRS Power had made a little bit of a mistake. Now then, it looks like we're on board now with KRD, very close behind Lamborghini. And here is Fives leaving the pit lane again, just behind Dunker and just ahead of IRS Pow. His Lamborghini's had a bit of a slide there. He's gone sliding off on the cutting. He was very lucky to make it through there ahead of KRD, but it certainly will have lost some time on Riots. So with 10 out of 15 laps completed, counting the formation lap, of course, it seems that Riots has quite an advantage in time over the rest of the field, and quite a bit of this is due to mistakes made during overtaking manoeuvres. Here is Blue Ghost. He's very close to IRS Pow, who overtook him only a short while ago, and he's it's probably the closest battle at the moment is here with the battle for some position, although a little bit further forward here's Duncan, of course, being closely pursued by Fives, who'd had a pit stop on lap 9 and will now be looking to make up places as quickly as possible. So, Hughes taking up the slipstream here, of course. It's practically certain that he'll be able to overtake. Now here's a pit stop. Riots goes in, and this will be his last pit stop, I'm sure. Again on soft tyres. Now then, let's see. Lamborghini, I think, pitted earlier. He may not have to make another pit stop. I'm not too sure. But we'll see how that goes. So, will Riots be able to come out of the pits ahead of KRD, who's also, well, KRD's just starting his pit stop now. So, there's Fives. Now, he's just coming into his 11th lap. So, we will come out in front. Now, here, whoa, that's Chugi. He's had a bit of a mishap there as Blue Ghost tries to go in for the overtake. Just a little bit of an off there. No, here's at the front. Oh no, hello. Here's Chugi again and Blue Ghost. Another bit of a wobble, bit of a close chase between those two. Now then, Riots and Fives. It seems that Fives came out just ahead of Riots, and that may be very decisive in the overall race. So it seems Riots had to go at overtaking, but it didn't pay off at all. Blue Ghost goes to he's chasing Chugi very closely. Now, is he going to be able to overtake here? Chugi very wisely defending the line, both on the outside and the inside there. So Riots trying to catch up with Fives ahead of the long straight, the Conrod straight. Oops! Blue Ghost sort of drifts into the barrier there on the outside of cutting. So here the battle for third continues. It's Fives does a good job of not really making any obvious mistakes there. They both get very close to the wall without actually scraping against it. But Riots has managed to catch up to some degree. Now, will there be an overtake? It looks like yes, he is going for it. He's going into the inside. Fives having to make room for him now that he is on the inside. Looks like he's backed off a little bit. Now Lamborghini is indeed making his final pit stop on his 11th lap. So it may all boil down to who comes out in front. Now here's Riots, and he's not going to be able to overtake there, but he may have learned his lesson from previously, not making such a bold move on a corner that's very bad for overtaking. Instead, saving it for when for turn 2 when overtaking is much more possible. So Lamborghini is in front, and you can't actually see him. He's managed to pick up quite some distance, and he's quite some distance away from the Fives and Riots, who've been perhaps wasting a little bit too much time battling each other, fighting for second essentially, and giving up on the win. So they go into the cutting. It's very, very close between them. It's Fives. He's made a mistake. He's had a bit of a wobble there. Quite a serious mistake, because it's given Riots second position. Now, Riots does have the advantage through these next few series of corners. So, now here's it's Chugi Jr. and he's right behind IRS Pal as they both leave the pits, and Blue Ghost is right behind both of them. Now, it'll be interesting to see how this little battle turns out. It's interesting to see all three of them emerge so very close together. Chugi here manages to defend the inside. IRS Pal takes the corner quite badly. He goes scraping against the barrier and has been overtaken by both Chugi and Blue Ghost. Blue Ghost has a go at... it's a bit of an impact there, a bit of a nasty knock there, and it seems that Blue Ghost doesn't manage to overtake Chugi after all. Now then, he is following very closely behind though. Chugi has made a few errors in this race so far. Blue Ghost not so much. It may be simply a case of following very closely behind and taking advantage of any errors. Oops, speaking of that, he's nearly had an off moment there. It looked quite similar to when Delinquent also had a bit of a, went riding on that particular curb, had a bit of a wobble, it turned into a spin. Blue Ghost seems to have avoided that particular fate. Now here are Fives. Now Fives, it seems he's dropped off quite some bit. We saw earlier that he made a mistake, Riots managed to overtake, but now it seems that he's lost quite a bit of distance, and KRD is, you can see how much slower Fives is going. Is it a fuel saving thing? I'm not too sure. It really looks like he's given up the ghost, and KRD overtakes to take third position. Now, this may well be the end of the fight at the top three. The distance between them really is too great for any particular challenge to be mounted in my opinion. It all comes down really to whether Riots makes a serious error. Oops, there's 5 sliding a little bit round that corner there. And yes, it really does seem that he's not going to be mounting any serious challenge going forward. Now, there's the Blue Ghost and there's Chugi. Chugi has a little bit of a slip up there on the home straight, picking up bits of dirt here and there, bit of a wobble there, and Blue Ghost will be looking to make an overtaking move. Now then, let's see. Chugi already moving to the inside in order to ward off the common overtaking move of passing on the inside and out braking. This works in his favour, it seems, because Blue Ghost, in spite of having a speed advantage, hasn't managed to overtake. Now, let's see how they do. It's a very close battle between them indeed. Blue Ghost taking a bit of a wider line through the cutting, hits the inside wall, not so good for him. So, the top 3, KRD is not too far behind Riots, but it seems that the battle is practically over between them. He's winding through the chase, and you can see there that the distance has opened up between them quite considerably. So, round the final turn of lap 13, with 2 laps to go, it's all to play for. With the 2 Dodge cars in 3rd and 4th and quite close together, I think it's possible that they may be playing it safe though. Here's Lamborghini out the front, enjoying a very, very wide margin indeed. Further back, here are a couple of the midfielders here in 9th position is Blue Ghost, still chasing Chugi. Chugi's pulled off a little bit of an advantage in distance there, and it remains to be seen whether anything further will unfold between them as they both go into their penultimate lap. Now, Lamborghini done an excellent job here. You can see that his lap times have been quite consistent. Well, okay, I tell a lie, to be honest. Lap times between about 2:14 and 2:19. Now, here's an overtaking move. Is it an overtaking move? It's Blue Ghost. He's managed to overtake Chugi, but is he going to be able to hold that position as they come into the following turn? He does hold the position indeed, but he goes wide. He goes a bit too wide, allowing Chugi to try and take advantage back, and he does so. He does so, and just ahead of the cutting manages to slip by. Very, very good bit of driving there, but goes wide, goes too wide, and Blue Ghost rams right into him. Seems that Chugi went too fast into the cutting, didn't brake early enough, went off onto the outside, hit the wall, and then Blue Ghost just slammed right into him. Now, Chugi had already crashed by the time that Blue Ghost went into him, so you would say that it's not really Blue Ghost's fault, more of a racing incident, but certainly cost Chugi a position there and quite a bit of time as well, and he'll be very disappointed with that. Fortunately for him, he hasn't lost position to... Oh no, he's gone off! He's gone careening off the wall, driving a little bit furiously, I suspect, and completely losing balance there. Lost a position to IRS Pow as well. Now that's quite an upset in the midfield there, as Chugi again suffering a little bit of perhaps bad luck, perhaps misfortune would be a better term, in yet another race that he's taken part in the MSC. Now, we're in the final lap, of course, with Lamborghini, again enjoying a comfortable lead over Riots, who's, now, he's probably been the most consistent driver, has Riots, but consistency doesn't necessarily isn't necessarily for the best if you're consistently behind the race leader. So Olaf here is only just ahead of Lamborghini. Another bit of a battle unfolding between these two. We'd seen them come out of the last bout of pit stops quite close together, but they haven't really been this close since then. It's Olaf who's under significant pressure from Leidenator. Leidenator has not taken part in all the races in this series, but he has performed quite well when he has turned up. Now then, it's close racing between those two. Now here's Lamborghini, only right to show his ending the race very comfortably in first position. Now, he is of course a reserve driver. In the previous race at the Nürburgring, he drove for the Dodge team to cover for KRD. Sorry, no, I tell a lie. He covered for KRD in the race before that at Suzuka, and got a third position and came first in this race. So I think he's certainly done very well for himself. An excellent drive throughout, with Wyatt's putting in a very good performance, very consistent drive, just not having the outright pace. Now here's Leidenator. He's managed to overtake Olaf, in fact. He's just managed to do it, and he's got 5th place secured. Here's Dunker in 7th, and he's by himself. Here's Blue Ghost. He's now then. Let's see. It seems that he's losing a little bit of speed here. Actually, he's going quite slowly. Is it? I think he's run out of fuel or something like that. Certainly seems like it, because he's just been stormed past by Chugi, and it really does seem like he's in some kind of trouble there. I would say that running out of fuel is generally what happened. Yes, yeah, that's definitely what happened. You can really tell. He's going to be overtaken, I think, also, let's see, by IRS Power as well, unless he's got some last quick turn of speed. He's been overtaken by IRS Power, who takes 9th position, and Blue Ghost sort of limps into 10th. Here's Delinquent, who would have been able to overtake Blue Ghost had he been just a little bit quicker, and bringing up the rear is Kaladin. It's certainly been a very frenetic race, with bouts of madcap action, with periods of silence in between. Lamborghini taking victory for the Honda team. Certainly it'd be interesting to see how he does in the Successor Series, because I think with a drive like that, he's certainly marked himself as a very desirable driver to have on your team. A well-deserved win. Now he takes 20 points. Wrights takes 2nd, 16 points for him, and KRD in 3rd, 14 points. Then it's 5s, Leidenator, Olaf, Dunker, Chugi Jr., IRS Pow, Blue Ghost, who ran out of fuel, losing 2 places right at the end, Delinquent and Kaladin bringing up the rear. For the Drivers' Championship, Wyatt's has 72 points, and 5's 2nd with 60. 5's is going to have to pull something really special out of the bag if he's going to take the championship, but it is technically possible. Then it's Olaf, Tokyo, KRD, Lamborghini, Delinquent, Dunker, Leidenator, Kaladin, Chugi, IRS Pow, Blue Ghost, Double Apex, Jers, Valuted, Richard and Venom, the latter 3 having taken no points, having not finished a single race. For the team's championship, it's the Dodge Viper team HYS in the lead with 110 points. LOEG team in 2nd with 97 points. A little bit more possible for them to take the championship lead, but certainly not going to be easy with only 1 race remaining. RKR with 64 points, ASO, Fierce Motion, 7 Minute Men, and them Ben's Boys with only 20 points. It's certainly been a very interesting race today, and so far I think it's safe to say that the NSC has been a series packed with thrills and spills. thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.